Alrighty. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Non Classics. This is episode number 2163. Yeah, 63. And Doubleshot number 2057. Now, this one we're discussing issues that were printed in Legion of Superheroes Archive Edition, Volume 11, basically Superboy issues 203 212, along with a Blue Beetle trade. First up, basically, we have issue 203. This issue is noteworthy for the fact that Invisible Kid gets killed off this issue. By him. Yep, he gets killed off. Why? I have no idea why, but he gets killed off here. For a reason. I'm not really sure exactly the reason for it, but he gets killed off here. Yep. Now, in the case of the other issues, well, mostly a lot of these issues are just basically stuff. We do see first appearance of Anti-Lad. Yeah, he is a character who was supposedly a secret member. He only appears just 204, and that's it. No, seriously. This is a one-shot appearance, this guy. He appears as one issue, and that was it. Yeah, it's strange that the fact he was a secret member. He was here just for one issue, and that was basically it. And if you're curious what the guy looks like here, and that's him. Yes, Anti-Lad. Appears for this sole appearance, this guy. So, we have a death of a character, a one-shot character. 205 is mostly a reprint issue, with the exception of the Forgotten Legion. Forgotten Legion, yeah. This one is, apparently this one's all, so basically 205 is mostly a reprint issue. But what about, let's say, 206, for example? 206 mostly put just Superboy take on clones of Feral Lad and Invisible Kid. Two characters who died. Feral Lad is nowhere to be the first member of the Legion to die. Yeah, he's been dead since the 60s, since issue 363. He first appeared in 346 and died in 353. Yep, first member to die. Yep, and for the longest time, these two were the only two. He was the longest one to die until this one. By the way, these issues are done by, in case you're curious though, 203. 203, now, Carrie Bates is the writer of these issues. Yep. Now, for these issues in particular, I don't think he does all of them. He does from issues 203 to 209 and 211 and 214. And the backup story for this one's Welcome Home Now, Die Daughter. It just basically focuses on Princess Spectra. 207 is the debut of a character named Officer Ron Durbin. And he himself become a prominent recurring character. Appears on and off over the years with the Legion. This was his debut appearance. He appeared in one more issue of this book. Then he appeared a few times when it was retitled the Legion Superheroes Volume 2. But yeah, he was a prominent recurring character for many years. I think like his last special appearance to date was actually in issue 60 of Legion of Superheroes Volume 4. That was his last appearance to date. In 1984, that was his last appearance. Yeah, we also have a Universal. Yeah, then basically we had a backup story that just has the backstory of Lightning Lad. 208 is basically, well, they had the first chronological appearance of Chameleon Chief and Sun Emperor chronologically for this issue. Yeah, it's basically another time when the lead superheroes fought the League of Supervillains. And you might be asking, who created this group of characters? Jerry Siegel. Excuse me. Yep, all the League of Supervillains are initially put there just basically people who were like just evil versions of the main characters. Now in 209, we do have the return of Jim Shooter as a writer for these issues. Mike Grell is the artist. Yep, Mike Grell is the artist for these issues. As a matter of fact, 202 was actually his very first comic he ever did. He pretty much is the artist for all these issues. Yep. Now, what's the thing about issue 209? Well, side back into the Jim Shooter issue. Carrie Bates has backup issue. It's just an issue featuring the girls. Also featured Wildfire. Yeah, not really a lot of stuff here, but Jim Shooter come back for one issue was fun. We have stuff with the Karate Kid with his backstory. I think that will later lead to a short-lived ongoing series, which I'll discuss in another Comic Corner with him. Yep. We have Emma becoming apparently trying to become a killer, just because he wanted to kill somebody, kill his parents. That's what happens in issue 211. And finally, 212. We have the first appearance of the Legion of Super Rejects, a Jim Shooter creation. Yeah, basically they're just cheap rip-offs of the main team. They appeared like one at a time after this. After this one issue, they appeared in Legionnaires 144, and that was it for them. No, seriously. That was it for Legion of Super Rejects. The backup story is just a story, well, just a Cosmic Boy story. But these issues are pretty good. I give these issues here, I'm going to give a 9 out of 10. They're pretty good. Now, am I going to be doing this for a while? Well, mainly the reason why I did that was because I couldn't get my hands on Volume 11 because my local library doesn't have Volume 11. I do the same thing for Volume 12 as well, along with some other issues. Alright, so next up we have is Blue Beetle, Volume 2, Blue Diamond. This is from the Tony Bedard run for the book. Now, this run in particular, I have discussed Volume 1 before. Now, this is the run for, this is of course Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, not Tate Cord, Jaime Reyes. This is his second volume as Blue Beetle. But technically overall for DC, this is the third volume, though it's categorized as Volume 8 for some reason. I don't know why. This book in particular is all done by Tony Bedard. He is the main writer for these issues. With Keith Giffen. There's a reason for that. I'll get to that. With I.G. Guerrero, Marco Chigurh, J.P. Meyer, Scott McDaniel, Andy Owens. Freddie was the second does the cover artwork. Mostly put in these issues, if you're curious, is issues 0 and 7 to 16. Yeah, believe it or not, it's also a crossover with New Guardians at this period of time, which for some reason they decided not to include in this trade. Yeah, now the reason for the crossover New Guardians was because apparently, the books had not been out for a year, and we have to have a crossover happening in every single freaking book. I think the only books that were immune to this were Superman Action Comics and Wonder Woman, because Batman issue 9 was part of the stuff with Night and Owl stuff. Yeah, it seemed like every other book except for these following books were not part of some crossover with some other book. Action Comics, Superman, Wonder Woman, I think that was it. Those are the ones I could think of. Mostly put, this version of Jaime Reyes is taking on a guy called Stopwatch. Taking a Boost to Gold in issue 10. In order to potentially recruit him for the Justice League International. And if you're curious, does he join Justice League International during this period of time? I think he does. Yes. I think he joins in the annual. Yeah, he joins in the annual for Justice League International, which is issued done by Jeff Johns and Dan DiDio. According to a rumor of the reason the book got axed was because, not for low sales. From what I heard, the rumor was the book was actually doing better than the main Justice League book. And according to rumor, I have never confirmed this though with Jeff Johns, because I never get a chance to talk to him about this. According to a rumor, the reason why the book ended at the time when it did, because Jeff Johns was jealous of the sales of the book, the fact the book dare outsell the main Justice League book, so the book got axed at the 12 issues and got wrapped up in a really crappy annual. That is according to rumor. I have not heard. This is actually, no, it wasn't exactly a rumor. It was a fan theory that someone came up with years ago, and I have basically mentioned this to people, but it's not. I have no idea if this is true or not. If I get a chance to meet Jeff Johns at Comic-Con last weekend, I would have asked him that, but that didn't happen because I had to get a ticket, something that was not public, that was not mentioned at that point in time. So basically, he fights various villains, and of course, then he gets sent out to space, deal with the Reach, and then he's tagged by Threshold. Well, actually tagged by a reality show known as The Hunted. Yep, the book was canceled. This book, I did hear the reason why the book was canceled, 16 issues. The reason why, low sales. Apparently, the book couldn't it couldn't keep 10,000 sales per month. So, that was the reason it got canceled. And one theory the reason it got canceled was because the book had 4 editors in 16 issues. That is what I heard. Because the book kept changing editors, apparently for no reason. I've never heard of a book doing this. I usually don't pay attention to the editor stuff, but mostly, a lot of the time, the editors usually stick around for an entire run. They don't leave partway through a book. Yep. Issue 0 is mostly just a little bit of Jaime's backstory before it became Blue Beetle. Yep, and his story continued in the pages of Threshold, The Hunted, where he was a minor character in the book. And the book is very difficult to get hands on, the trade that collects it. And if you're curious, that book had even worse sales, from what I heard, than Blue Beetle did. That book barely broke 6,000. Its sales were terrible. So the book got axed. And if you're curious, excuse me, how long the book lasted for? 8 issues. No, seriously. 8 freaking issues. That is how long the book lasted for. And it was a mini-series. Yes. A mini-series. Despite the fact the book never said anything about mini-series. It was ongoing. It was announced as ongoing. But got axed due to low sales. It was basically, it's one of those cases where DC says it's a miniseries despite the fact it was ongoing. And they axed it because the book did terrible in the sales. That was the reason for it. Was the book bad? Not really per se. It's okay. I think Tony Bedard was trying to do his best with this book. It's not one of his best books per se. I've read better books by him. Books like Rebels. I did enjoy his Supergirl work, both for the 5th and 6th volume for this series. But this book in particular, I think it's one of those more weaker books, but it's not a terrible book. It's just not as good as the previous run. Yes. Now, I get why Keith Giffen wanted a chance to write the character again, because, after all, he was the first one to write his ongoing series when it was launched in 2006. So, of course, he'd come back to the character. And he came back again when the book was brought back for Rebirth. And the book was awesome. That book was amazing. And that book managed to last longer than this one by 2 issues. Yeah. Could it have been canceled low sales? It's possible. But the book was good. Really good. The entire run. Some say it was because one person said, "Oh, the book ran out of steam after the first story arc." No, it didn't. I know for a fact it didn't. I read it and I reviewed it. That is a lie. That is basically someone says that on the internet. It's clickbait. This book in particular, it's just okay. It's not terrible. If you're a Blue Beetle fan, would I recommend checking this book out? Only if you're curious. But the thing about this book is, we do have some semi-continuation of this book in the pages of Blue Beetle Volume 4. Yes, some continuation, not a lot. That book was actually about much more better creative team. Nothing against Bedard. It's just not one of the best books. That's just my honest opinion in the matter. Yep. Final thoughts on this volume. Not a terrible book per se. At least, the one thing I at least got praise with this book, it had consistent artwork throughout its, well, if you count issue 0, its 17-issue run. Which I've heard nobody say anything bad about the artwork for this book. It's good. It's consistently really good despite the fact the book went through multiple different artists. But at least I praise the book for this. At least managed to keep its writer for more than a few issues. Can't say the same book like, Green Arrow, where in the span of the first 2 years, actually in the span of 3 years, they went through 5 freaking writers in 5 years. It's freaking ridiculous. Yep. Though, it could have been, at the time when the book was released for Blue Beetle, this was a period of time where editorial mandates, they were around, I heard they were around for a long time, but they got worse during this period of time. I initially didn't hear about what was going on in DC for the period of 2011, 2013, until I read on the internet what the heck was going on. Because I remember some books basically where, some of them had very weak starts to them. We had frequent change of creative teams. There were some good books. And the biggest problem, and a lot of people pointed this period of time, it was the time of very terrible editors basically forcing writers to do what they want them to do. And I've also heard that the environment back at that point was very toxic. And DC lost a lot of writers. And the fact that the reason why they did the relaunch was because of they wanted new readers. And from what I heard, that didn't work at all. They tried and they failed. Now you might be thinking, Nick, since you just reviewed this Blue Beetle book, are you finished reviewing New 52 trade paperbacks? You really want to answer to that? No. There's still more left. And you're thinking, really? Somebody might think, I thought we reviewed almost all of them by now. Not yet. The last one completed was World's Finest. That was the last one completed. And if you're really, really curious, with the completion reviewing of this book, I have 6 more books left. 6. The books left are All-Star Western, The Movement, Superboy, Voodoo, Dr. H, and one trade for Frickin' Age of Shade, and that's it. But you can definitely say I'm really close. Yep, really close. Excuse me, we have these 6 ongoing series plus, I think it's 3 limited series, because there's Lead Chicken Origin, Penguin Pride and Prejudice, and I believe the other one is the Huntress miniseries. Oh wait, there's not only those, there's also some with the books that are supposed to lead to Freedom Fighter's book, which, strange enough, I remember these books, but for some reason DC never released these in trade. There was a Dolman miniseries, Phantom Lady, I think it was a Human Bomb book, but for some reason, no trade for them. There were books released over a decade ago, and no trade. I don't know why, probably a later. Okay, so that's it. So tomorrow, you can see some Kamen Rider, Black Clover, Kamen Rider, Black Clover, Common Corner, and the first thing we'll start with tomorrow will be Trigun Stampede, then My Hero Academia, and at the finish those 2 will be Fruit Evolution, Both Free, One Piece, and Eden Zero. Okay, next video. Bye.